Previously on our story, Ada fell in love with a stranger and whom he didn't know that he was a spirit. They got married and she got pregnant. On their honeymoon, their wedding night, the spirits came and took her husband. So she ran into the forest to rescue her husband and to find answers. As we dive into this amazing story, just let me know in the comment section where you're watching this from. And if you're my new viewer and you've not yet subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe to it, leave something in the comment section and give a thumb up to this video. And for my returning viewer, thank you so much for always coming back. So let us dive into our amazing video. Thank you so much. Ada left the old woman's hut with her heart pounding. The spirits were coming for her child and she had no idea how to stop them. "What do we do now?" Annette asked as they hurried back to the village. "I don't know," Ada whispered, "but I have to protect my baby." As they reached the village, Ada froze. Shadows moved between the houses. Strange figures stood at the edge of the forest, watching her. "They are here," she whispered. Annette grabbed her hand. "We need to tell your parents." They ran to Ada's home. Her mother and father were sitting outside, talking in harsh voices. When they saw Ada, they stood up. "Ada," her mother cried. "Where have you been?" "Mama, Dad," Ada panted. "They are coming for me." Her father frowned. "Who?" "The spirits," Annette said quickly. "They want her baby." Ada's mother gasped. "A baby?" She looked at Ada's stomach in shock. Her father's face darkened. "Tell me the truth, Ada. Are you pregnant with that man's child?" Ada hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Papa. But he's not just a man, Darren. He's a spirit." Her mother covered her mouth in horror. Her father's face turned pale. "This is dangerous, Ada. Spirits don't leave their world without a reason. If he married you, he must have been hiding from something." Ada shivered. "He said he would come back for us, but the spirits..." Before she could finish, the ground trembled. The wind howled and the dark mist covered the village. The spirits had arrived. The villagers screamed as the mist spread. Shadows moved in the darkness, whispering Ada's name. "Give us our child," a deep voice echoed. Ada clutched her stomach. "Never!" A tall figure stepped out of the mist. His skin was pale as the moon, his eyes glowing red. "You don't understand, human girl," the spirit said. "That child doesn't belong to you." Ada's father stepped in front of her. "She's my daughter, and this is her child. Leave her and leave our village." The spirit smirked. "You cannot fight us, old man. The child belongs to the spirit world. If you refuse to give us what we want, we will take him by force." Ada's blood turned cold. "No, you can't take my baby." The spirit stepped closer. "Then prepare for a war, foolish girl, because the spirits never lose." With a swell of smite, the spirits disappeared. The village fell silent. Ada turned to her father. "What do we do?" Her father's face was grim. "We must prepare. The spirits will return, and they will do whatever they want to do to get what they want." Ada placed her hand on her stomach. "I'll protect my child no matter what." The next day, Ada's father gathered the elders. "We must protect Ada and her unborn child," he said. The elders murmured in fear. "How do we fight spirits?" Annette spoke up. "The old woman in the forest knows how." Ada nodded. "She saved me before. She can help us now." Her father hesitated, then nodded. "Go to her. Ask her for a way to fight the spirits." Ada and Annette ran back to the forest. The mist had cleared, but the air felt heavy. When they reached the hut, the old woman was already waiting. "You are back," she said. "The spirits have made their move, haven't they?" Ada nodded. "They want my baby. Please, help me." The old woman sighed. "There is only one way to fight spirits. She turned and pulled something from her chest. A long silver dagger. A blade glowed faintly. "This is the spirit blade," the old woman said. "It is the only weapon that can harm spirits." Ada took the dagger carefully. The moment she touched it, a strange warmth filled her body. "Use it wisely," the old woman warned. "It will protect you, but it will also change you." Ada frowned. "What do you mean?" The old woman looked at her with sad eye. "A human who fights spirit may never be fully human again." Ada's heart pounded. Was she willing to risk everything for her child? She gripped the dagger tightly. "I don't care what happens to me," she said. "I'll protect my baby and I'll bring my husband back." The old woman nodded. "Then prepare yourself, child, because the spirits are coming, and this time they'll not go easy on you." Ada and Annette hurried back to the village. The spirit blade felt warm in Ada's hand, as if it was alive. She could feel its power, but she also felt something else. Fear. "What if I fail?" Ada whispered. Annette squeezed her hand. "You won't. You have a baby to fight for." When they reached the village, the elders and the warriors were waiting. "What did the old woman say?" Ada's father asked. Ada held up a dagger. "This is the spirit blade. It can fight spirits." The warriors murmured in awe. "How do we fight this? How do we use it to fight the spirits?" A young warrior asked. Ada took a deep breath. "I have to use it. The spirits are after me. I must protect my baby." Her father's face was troubled. "Ada, you are pregnant. It is dangerous." "I have no choice, Papa," Ada said. "If I don't fight, the spirits will take my baby." Before her father could respond, the wind changed. A cold breeze swept through the village. The torch flickered. Then the mist returned. The spirits were here. The villagers ran into their huts, leaving only Ada, her father, Annette, and the warriors outside. The mist thickened, swirling around them. A deep voice echoed through the village. "Give us the child." A tall, pale spirit stepped out of the mist. His red eyes glowed as a star at Ada. Ada tightened her grip on the spirit blade. "You will not take my baby." The spirit laughed. "You think a mere woman can stop us?" He raised his hand, and the mist turned into shady figures, spirits with hollow eyes and sharp claws. The warriors raised their spears. "Attack!" Ada's father shouted. The warriors charged, but the spirits moved like smoke, dodging their weapons. No warrior stabbed a spirit, but the spears passed through it. The spirit laughed and slashed at him, sending him flying. Ada's heart pounded. The warriors couldn't fight them, but maybe she could. She stepped forward and raised the spirit blade. The silver light glowed brighter. A spirit rushed at her. She swung the blade. The moment the blade touched the spirit, it screamed in pain and vanished. "It works!" Anna gasped. Ada's confidence grew. Another spirit attacked. She slashed at it, and it disappeared. The spirit hasted in hunger. The leader stepped forward. "You may have a weapon, but you cannot fight forever." He lifted his hand, and the mist thickened. More spirits emerged. Ada's father grabbed her arm. "We have to fall back." "No!" Ada shouted. "I can do this." She raised the blade and ran after the spirits. But the blade cut through them like fire. One by one, the spirits disappeared. Then the leader grew late. "Enough!" He raised his hand, and the mist turned into a massive dark wave. Ada's eyes darkened. "No!" The wave crashed towards her. Then a gold light flashed in the sky. The mist exploded. The spirit screamed. When the light faded, the spirits were gone. Ada fell on her knees, breathing heavily. What just happened? Anna whispered. Ada looked up. The gold light had come from the lake. Her heart skipped a beat. Darren, she whispered. Ada ran to the lake. The water was calm, but the golden glow shimmered beneath the surface. Darren, she called. Slowly, the glow rose, and Darren's face appeared in the water. Ada, he said softly, tears running down her face. They tried to take our baby. Darren's eyes darkened. I know. That's why I stopped them. You saved us, he nodded. But I cannot protect you forever. The spirits will return. Ada touched her stomach. What do we do? Darren's face was full of sadness. You must be strong. The spirits will not stop until they have our child. Ada's voice trembled. What do they want him? Darren hesitated. Then he whispered, because our son is special. He's the first of his kind, both human and spirit. He has a power the spirit world fears. Ada gasped. Then, we have to protect him. Darren nodded. I'll fight for you, no matter what. Ada reached towards the water. Come back to me. Darren smiled sadly. I wish I could, my love, but I'm trapped in the spirit world. Tears ran down Ada's cheeks. Then how do I bring you back? Darren's eyes glowed. There is only one way, but it's dangerous. I don't care, Ada said. Tell me. Darren hesitated, then said, you must come to the spirit world and find me. Ada's breath caught in her throat. What? Darren's voice was urgent. There is a gate deep in the forest. If you enter, you'll be in the spirit world. But you must be careful. If you stay too long, you might never return. Ada clenched her fist. I'll do it. I'll bring you back. Darren's eyes softened. Then hurry, my love, because the spirits are coming. They will not stop until they take everything from us. The golden light faded. Ada stood by the lake, her heart racing. She had made her choice. She was going to the spirit world, and she was going to bring her husband back. Ada stood at the edge of the lake, staring into the dark forest. Annette grabbed her arm. You're not really going there, aren't you? I have to, Ada whispered. Darren is waiting for me. Annette shook her head. But it's dangerous. What if you never come back? Ada looked down at her stomach. My baby needs his father, and I need him too. Annette sighed. Then I'm coming with you. No, Ada said quickly. This is my fight. But please, Annette, stay here and protect my family. Annette's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Be careful. Ada turned and walked towards the forest. The trees loomed tall, their branches twisting like fingers. The air was cold, and the wind whispered her name. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The forest was darker than she remembered. The deeper she went, the colder it became. Shadows moved between the trees. Strange whispers filled the air. Suddenly, a soft voice called out. Ada! She froze. The voice was familiar. Ada, my daughter. Her mother's voice. Ada turned quickly. Mama! The figure stepped out of the mist. It was her mother. Tears filling Ada's eyes. Mama, what are you doing here? Her mother smiled. Come back home, my child. You don't belong here. Ada took a step forward, then stopped. Something was wrong. Her mother's eyes were too dark. Her skin was too pale. Then she smiled wider. Too wide. Ada's heart pounded. You are not my mother. The spirit hasted and longed at her. Ada raised the spirit blade. A silver light flashed and the spirit screamed as it disappeared. More whispers echoed around her. The spirits were watching. She clutched the blight and ran deeper into the forest. She had to find the gate before it was too late. After felt like hours, Ada reached a clearing. In the center stood an ancient stone gate covered in glowing symbols. She knew it was it, the entrance to the spirit world. She hesitated. If she crossed, there was no turning back. Then she thought of Darren. She tightened her grip on the spirit blade and stepped through the gate. The bright light flashed, and everything disappeared. Ada gasped as she stepped through the gate. The air was heavy, and the sky was dark purple, with the glowing stars that pulsed like beating hearts. The land stretched endlessly, covered in mist. Strange shadows moved in the distance. She had entered the spirit world. Heart pounded. "Darren, where are you?" The wind whispered around her, carrying voices she couldn't understand. She gripped the spirit blade tightly and started walking. The ground beneath her felt strange, like walking on the air and stone at the same time. The trees around her were twisted, their leaves glowing faintly. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed. "You should not be here." Ada snapped around. A figure stepped out of the mist. He was tall, with long silver hair and glowing red eyes. His robes shimmered like a night sky. "Who are you?" Ada asked, her voice shaking. "I'm Kano, a guardian of the spirit world," the man said. "You are human. You must leave before it's too late." Ada lifted her chin. "I won't live without my husband." Kanu's expression darkened. "Your husband does not belong to you anymore. He belongs to us." "No," Ada cried. "He loves me and he loves our child." Kanu's eyes flickered. "Your child? The one who is both human and spirit?" Ada swallowed hard. "Yes." Kanu sighed. "Then you are in great danger than you know. The spirits fear what your child will become, and they will do anything to stop him from being born." Ada's heart clenched. "Then I must find Darren before they do." Kanu studied her for a long moment. Then he said, "If you truly wish to find him, you must go to the river of echoes. But be warned, many who enter do not return." "I'll do whatever it takes," Ada said firmly. Kanu nodded. "Then may the spirit have mercy on you." With that, he vanished into the mist. Ada turned towards the unknown. She had a river to find and a husband to save. Ada walked for what felt like hours. The spirit world had no sun, no moon, only endless mist and strange glowing light. Then she heard it, the sound of the water. She rushed towards and found herself standing before a wide, shimmering river. The water was dark, yet filled with lofting lights that whispered as they moved. The river of echoes. She knelt at the edge. "Darren," she called. The waters rippled. Then slowly, Darren's reflection appeared. "Ada," his voice was soft, full of love and sorrow. Tears filled her eyes. "Darren, I found you." His reflection flickered. "You shouldn't have come. The spirit will never let me live." "I don't care," Ada said. "I'll bring you home." Darren's eyes darkened. "Ada, they are coming." The water chuckled violently. From the mist, dark figures emerged, spirits with glowing eyes, their hands reaching for her. She had to fight for Darren, for their child, and for love. The spirits emerged from the mist, their eyes glowing like fire. Ada's heart raced. She could feel the cold, dark energy pressing in around her. "Darren!" she shouted, stepping between the spirits and the river. The spirit hasted and floated towards her, their hands outstretched like claws. They wanted to pull her in, to stop her from reaching Darren. Ada raised the spirit blade high. Its silver glow shone brightly, cutting through the darkness. "Stay back," she cried. The nearest spirit lunged, but Ada swung the blade with all her strength. It struck the spirit, and the creature let out a wail before vanishing into the mist. But more spirits came, filling the air around her. Ada didn't have time to hesitate. She slashed and blocked, her hands moving quickly as she fought off the spirits one by one. But they kept coming, more and more, their whispers growing louder in her ears. "Darren, I'm here. I won't leave you." She turned, just in time to see a spirit reach out towards her. Before it could touch her, a figure appeared in water. It was Darren. But he wasn't the same. His eyes glowed with a powerful light, and his body shimmered like water. "Ada," he called out, his voice filled with power. "You've come for me, and I'll fight for us." With a wave of his hand, the spirits recoiled, as though they were afraid of him. "Darren," Ada cried, "I knew you would come back." He reached for her, his hand glowing. "We have to hurry. The spirits are afraid of what our child will become." Ada looked down at her stomach. "I won't let anything happen to him." "Then we must leave," Ada said. "The spirit world is not safe for you and our baby. Come with me." Ada hesitated, but she nodded. Together, they moved towards the river. The spirits tried to stop them, but Darren's power kept them away. The water around them glowed brighter, pushing the spirits back. Ada felt a pull of the world she knew, the real world, home. As Ada and Darren stepped away from the river of echoes, the mist began to fade. The world around them started to change. The darkness lifted and the strange glowing lights dimmed. Ada could hear birds chirping in the distance. The air was warmer. She felt the earth beneath her feet solid and real. They had made it back. The forest surrounding them was quieter now. The spirits are gone. Darren smiled at her. "We are back," he whispered, "and we are together. Nothing can separate us now." Ada's heart soared with joy. She looked at Darren and then at the sky. It was real. They were home. But she knew the journey wasn't over. The spirit may have left them, but the world they had returned was still waiting for them. The world where Ada's baby, the child of a spirit and a woman, would be born, and the world wasn't ready for what he would become. Back at her village, Ada couldn't stop thinking about what Kanu had told her. The spirits feared her child. What did that mean for the baby growing inside her? Darren, now fully human again, stood by her side as they walked through the village. People stared, whispering behind their hands. Ada could hear their words, but she didn't care. "You're back," Annette cried, running up to them. Ada smiled weakly. "Yes, we are home." Annette glanced at Darren, who stood with a protective arm around Ada's shoulder. "What happened? Where did you go?" "It's a long story," Ada said softly. "But you are safe now?" Annette asked. "Yes." Ada nodded. "We are safe." But inside, she felt a storm. The thought of what could happen to her baby and to them all weighed heavily on her heart. Darren looked at her, his eyes full of love and understanding. "We'll figure this out, Ada. Together, no matter what happens, we'll protect our family." Ada smiled, but the doubt lingered in her heart. What if the world wasn't ready for their child? Weeks passed, but the village was uneasy. People avoided Ada and Darren, glancing nervously whenever they passed by. The village was filled with whispers, rumors that Ada's baby was not just a child, but something else. One afternoon, Ada walked through the market with Annette. As they passed the fruit stand, an old woman looked at Ada's stomach and gossiped. "You're carrying a cursed child," she whispered loudly. Ada froze, heart sinking. "What do you mean?" The woman shook her head. The spirits say your child is no ordinary woman. He will bring terrible change. Ada felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She looked at Annette, who had gone pale. "Ignore her," Annette said softly, taking Ada's hand. But the words stuck in Ada's mind. She could hear the whispers of the villagers behind her, spreading like wildfire. "Cursed child, bringer of darkness." Ada gripped Darren's hand tightly when she returned home. "Darren, what if the village is right?" Darren's eyes softened. "They fear what they don't understand, but we can prove them wrong. Our child will be a force of good. We will show them that love is stronger than fear." Ada looked at him, her heart filled with hope, but also fear. Would they ever be accepted? We don't know that. The day of Ada's baby's birth arrived. The village had heard rumors, and now there was no hiding what was happening. People watched from their windows, too afraid to come close. But Ada and Darren didn't care. In the privacy of their home, surrounded by love, Ada gave birth to a baby boy. His eyes shone with a strange, magical glow, just like his father's. His skin was smooth and glowing, like light and shadow wrapped in one. Ada held him close, tears of joy and fear in her eyes. "You're perfect," she whispered. Darren stood beside her, his arm around her. "And together we'll protect him. The world will learn to love him just as we do." As the baby crawled in Ada's arms, a bright light filled the room. The glow from the baby grew brighter, casting away all the shadows and doubts that filled Ada's heart. Outside, the villagers watched. Slowly, one by one, they began to gather near the house. The glow from Ada's home shone like a beacon, a symbol of hope, not fear. The village had seen the love and the light in the child's eyes. They began to understand that this child was not a curse, but a gift, one that would bring balance and peace to their world. Ada smiled as she looked out in the window, her heart swelling with gratitude. Together, she whispered to Darren, "We will show them the power of love." And so, the birth of their child, a new chapter began, one of hope, unity, and future filled with love. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reaching this far. This is the end of our story. If you didn't watch part one is there. You can go in my description box. You'll find it there. See you in my next video. I love you all. Bye-bye.